October 18th, 2007. Mike Hildebrand, how are you?
I am great, Gordy. Thank you and Calvin for coming out and visiting with us today.
We're delighted to stop at this wonderful campus complex here at CVPH Medical Center. I was going to ask you what's new, but that would be the dumbest question of the century. Everything is new around here.
Everything is changing, Gordy. It's amazing. I mean, today we're going to be spending a lot of our time in the new Minor Medical Arts building, and we're quite proud of that. It's been a tremendous addition, and as you well know, though, it's certainly made our campus a little more complex, if you will. The complex here.
It's considering where it began.
Oh, it's amazing. The
Physicians Hospital began on another street in town, was built here in the 1920s by Mr. Minor, and all through the years, and we've done all the tours and looked at the old books and had so much fun doing the history, and look at us now.
Well, one of the things that you will undoubtedly like is all the historical photos that are on the first floor of the Minor building that make sure that we're never going to forget the role that the Minor family played in getting this all started.
Well, it's fantastic. We picked a pretty good day to come here.
This is a great day.
October 18th, temperature in the low 60s, heading for the 70s tomorrow. Calvin and I were just saying our growing seasons are continuing. We were picking tomatoes today outside the house.
It's incredible. I mean, we've got, trees with leaves that are green, and I mean, again, it is October 18th, and this is the North Country. Something isn't right.
Amazing. Well, they must have heard me coming, because the minute I walked in the building, the fire alarms went off, and I guess it was
our security system works.
It certainly does. I said, oh boy, I'm going to get trapped here, and I have no idea where I'm going. Well, we ended up, all of us getting together, and we're going to show some people some interesting things today.
I think that people will be very impressed. The two departments that we're going to be taking a look at that are already up and running are the laboratory and the pharmacy. And frankly, we would put those two up against any hospital, laboratory, and pharmacy in the state or the nation. They're wonderful. And then on the second floor, by the end of the year, our outpatient cardiology will have relocated there. We're quite proud, and it's part of the continued growth here.
You have a lot to be proud of, and you've grown along with this facility, and you've been here for how many years now?
It will be 16 years the end of this month.
But who's counting?
That's right. Who's counting?
What do you say we go inside and see what's new?
I think that would be great. And in fact, we can turn the microphone over to our friend Chris Booth, who was involved in building this.
All right, terrific. Let's do it. That's that sound.
It's not a fire alarm.
I hope it's not a fire alarm either. Chris Booth, how are you?
I'm fine, Gordy. How are you?
I'm just doing great. You must be so proud of what's going on around here.
Oh, it's very exciting. Lots of great new facilities going up here, as you can see with the LST and William H. Minor Medical Arts Building. We began in 2006 and completed the core and shell of the building this past spring, and began moving departments in, starting in June of this year. So our pharmacy and our lab are now conveniently housed on the first floor and the third floor, respectively, and really enjoying their new homes.
As the director of facilities here, you just must be so thrilled.
You couldn't ask for a better place to work, and for more to be going on at one time. That I can tell you, and it is really exciting.
You know the phrase, "Your plate is full."
That's exactly right.
I think you've got a plate in each hand, juggling one on your feet. It's amazing. Tell us a little bit about what's been done, how the idea was conceived, and.
Well, the building is 3 floors and is approximately 60,000 square feet of brand new state-of-the-art space. We will house 3 of our departments from the hospital in this building: non-invasive cardiology, pharmacy, and lab. Non-invasive cardiology is slated to move in mid-November, late November, sometime in that time frame. And the rest of the space will be taken up with probably medical office space for various physicians and services that are associated with CVPH.
people come back here for homecomings and leaf peeping and you name it, and they drive up the street in front of this facility, and they're gonna do a little rubbernecking, aren't they?
Oh, they certainly are. I think the fact that we're building new space, it speaks to the vision of the leaders at CVPH and in the community, and the priorities that they set for this facility. We've got a lot going on and a lot more to come.
And a lot more to come. Yeah, the changes in this whole business of running hospitals across the nation are amazing to me, and I'm only on the periphery watching news. But this whole place is so near and dear to my heart, and I know it's inside of yours because you've been doing this for a long time.
Absolutely, and I think it's for a community the size of Plattsburgh to have a facility like this is again, it just speaks to the vision and the leadership of our community and our staff here.
This community has supported this facility tremendously. I'm looking over your shoulder and we're looking at the old Physicians Hospital up there, and boy, memories for me, which don't go back nearly to the 1920s, nor for you either.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
But the phrase "we've come a long ways, baby" certainly does apply.
We certainly have. We've got just a tremendous variety of different vintages in this facility, all working together to create a good environment for patients and for staff to help patients here, and we've got buildings that go back to the early 1900s here, and buildings that are brand new and state of the art, all sort of collectively mixed together.
I think that's the way it ought to be. It pleases me when I look around here and look at the other facilities connected with the extended campus.
Yeah.
And the clout that CVPH Medical Center has developed around New York State and in other neighboring states pleases me too.
It does me. It does me also. I think if you take a walk up to our third floor through our new lab space, for instance, you will see a state-of-the-art, second-to-none lab facility. Same with our pharmacy. Everything that we're doing here or contemplating being done over the next couple of years will be state-of-the-art. There'll be nothing better.
And because of these programs and other ways of letting the public know, John Q. Public is pretty proud of this place too, and I think it's important to get that message out. This is your medical center.
It is.
Enjoy it, support it.
Enjoy it. It is part of the health network for the North Country, a big part of it, and it will have, as time goes on, a lot to do with the health of our residents.
It's terrific, and people will no longer have to travel to faraway facilities to have procedures done that we're now doing right here.
Tremendous advantage for us. Our heart program has made a great deal of difference to the lives of North Country residents. You now can get state-of-the-art care right here in Plattsburgh that you had to travel a great deal of distance for just a couple of years ago.
And there are testimonials abounding all over the place. People are very willing to stand up in front of a camera or a microphone and say, "Boy, they treated me like a king in that place."
That's our goal.
Yeah. Now, did you come to work here before you were the director of facilities, or did you come under that title?
Briefly, just for a couple of months, and then took on the facilities director.
And there aren't many things that you aren't aware of every day that go on here, are there?
Oh, I'm sure there's a few, but
you pretty much have to have a finger on the pulse of what's happening here.
Yes, and it can be a daunting task.
Well, it is for people who just walk around and aren't sure how to get inside and where to park these days, and in fact that we've told the public how to do it.
Yeah, wayfinding can be a tad challenging, particularly now since we've got our front entrance blocked off for the surgery project. But that will get better, and we have found that our public education program to help people find their way around here is making a difference, and I think it will only get better with time.
I think that's great. What do you say we look around a little bit inside?
Come on in.
Can we do that? Let's do it.
Is he ready?
We're up in the laboratory. Ruth Gaidosh, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Gordon?
And I heard you volunteered for this today.
Yes, I volunteered. Actually, I drew the short straw.
Uncle Sam wants you and you and you. We love it. This laboratory is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Staff just love it. If you had seen our old facility, which had gotten so out of date and too tight for the type of work that we do today with the technology increases, just very challenging to work in and very unpleasant. So this is just a relief, and staff, I haven't heard a bad word, and it's just gorgeous.
Why is it so important to have all this great open space?
Well, open space is good for a number of reasons. Number one, walls are inhibiting, they're inefficient. You don't have the ability to move workstations around as technology changes. So we can make a much better use of the floor space we do have when it's open. Also, we communicate with one another. Staff can rove back and forth between one technical area to another, discuss clinical aspects that you may need to talk about in order to make sure that everyone is providing relevant results. And for a management purpose, roving back and down, it helps you manage what's going on in the areas where you can kind of see what's going on.
I think that's terrific. Now, what is your specific job?
I'm the microbiology and the LIS support staff supervisor. That's the computer area. So I have a technical area, and then I have a kind of a technology area that I look for.
What was your training for all of this?
I have a bachelor's degree in biological sciences and a master's degree in microbiology, and I took a master's degree from Plattsburgh State in leadership and management.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
So that's why everybody saluted when we walked in.
There you go.
Well, can we walk around and you show us a few things?
Sure.
You just let's go wherever you want to go. We'll follow with the camera.
We'll go somewhere, but before we move, let me just, because you're at an intersection here that's a good thing for you to see. Everything down at this end, this side of the building, is what we call clinical pathology, clinical laboratory. Everything on this end is what we call anatomic pathology, and they're quite a different technological work areas. So just getting that orientation to begin with is kind of helpful. But we'll go down to this end, and this is where the clinical area starts.
All right, you could just keep on talking. Calvin can follow us with the camera. We'll walk slowly so he doesn't trip over the cord. How much input did you have in the way this place was put together?
We had a humongous amount of
kidding.
input. The supervisory staff worked as a group with our manager and with an architect who had experience in laboratory design. We did some things on our own. We brought the expert in to validate what we did, give us some additional ideas, and then our overall floor print was kind of dictated by the amount of space in ground that we had to put a building on. So all of that group worked together extensively to design what we needed. We told the architect this is the workspace we need for the work we're doing. He managed to get it placed in a way that was efficient and allowed us to finish our work. So this is the center or the beginning part of the laboratory. It's where we receive all of our specimens. It's kind of the hub of the laboratory, where through our pneumatic tube system or people coming through our doorway, samples reach us that need to be tested. And the staff in here receives them, verifies their identification, what testing is required, gets them accepted into our computer so that we will have a registration, if you will, or a logging of what's to be done, processes or handles any samples that need to be processed before testing, and then through sort of a salad bar area there, we have
salad bar area.
That's what it looks like if you go into a restaurant. But we have a various set of racks there for all of the technical areas, and as people are ready to do testing, they can come and pick their rack up, take it to their workstation, and take those samples and get them tested.
I think it's fantastic that this pneumatic system, that concept which has been around in department stores for how long?
For a long time.
The same idea that works here, isn't it?
It is the same idea, and it's not really new for CVPH. We had a pneumatic system quite a number of years ago, and it became very old and outdated. Engineering-wise, it just began to fail. It was never replaced at that point, except for with the emergency department. The lab in the emergency department has maintained a pneumatic tube system availability to help our critical patients that are coming in. With the new building here and the distance, we're a little bit more distance from our patients in the hospital. It became necessary again for a pneumatic tube system. And it not only benefits us, but also pharmacy when you talk to those folks. Just a huge difference in speed to get samples to us and saving man hours trekking back and forth, carrying things when they could be helping patients.
Can't be a good idea, and it's everything is it's like a little door there, right? Like almost like a dumbwaiter door.
It's like a dumbwaiter door, although the door stays open. The tube comes down with the sample.
It looks like almost like
it's like a little bullet or
a projectile on both ends,
exactly.
like tapered.
Yeah, and you see that the staff receive it. They take the material out of it, return the packaging, and they'll return that back into the system so that areas that need to send us more samples will get a tube back. We don't have an infinite number of tubes. They've got to move back and forth.
Oh, I see what you mean.
We're not allowed to hoard those tubes. Not that you would want
Just
to.
the whole idea is fascinating for me. I love it.
So down in this corner is our blood bank. We
You can take a walk down if you want to.
See that a little closer?
Sure.
We are incredibly proud of our blood bank system.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure your viewers will probably have interfaced with our blood bank in our drives that we have throughout the community.
Absolutely.
We are very proud of the fact that the majority of the blood products that we give our patients comes from our community.
Isn't it great?
It's people helping people. We feel we have basically a healthy community. It gives us a little extra safety with our products. It's just a huge plus, and it's cost saving too. We don't have to purchase blood from a more commercial area.
And what a great change from the first time our cameras went into the blood bank. How many years ago? Seven maybe?
Yeah.
Seven
In our old area, everything was a lot smaller. We've increased our floor space by about 50%, but our usable percentage space is quite a bit because of the efficiency of the wall-less construct, much better. And so everyone has the ability to really put their work out in a way that you can address all the details in a clean, accurate way.
This is a rare opportunity for our viewers to see the inner workings of things that happen here at CVPH that they would never normally be exposed to.
Yeah.
The public just plain doesn't come in here.
Most of the public doesn't. They see us maybe when they get their blood drawn at a draw station, but the actual testing is something that most people don't see. You may see a laboratory in your school or college in a school situation, but a clinical laboratory is something many people don't see. It's, for those of us who work here, we think highly interesting and just fascinating with the equipment that we have to test patients.
How many people work in the lab all told you, would you guess?
We have 120 people approximately.
Believe that.
It's a lot of people. We're a 24/7 operation.
Of course, you have to be.
Which is required. Not everyone here, not all the 120 work in this part of it. We have our draw station out at the plaza, and we have our donor group that goes on the community. But the biggest bulk has at least some time here in this new building.
I love it. You just have to be pleased to see.
We are just thrilled to be in this.
How long have you been in here yourself?
My group was one of the first ones to move in.
Oh, really?
We moved in just after the 4th of July this summer.
It's only appropriate, right?
Yeah, it's only been a few months, but just fabulous. And other groups moved in, one right after the other. And we've been
since
up
a
and
lot of
running.
people up here had input into it, then it felt good from the first moment you walked in.
It felt very good. In my area, I got one of my lead techs involved. We shared what we were coming up with our staff. People had ideas, which we took under consideration. Some of them got to be used. Everyone knew what was coming. I think everyone felt like they were home when they came in here.
I love it. That's a great line. Everyone felt like they were home. What else should we see, Ruth?
Well, let's take a look at the chemistry area, because that's where kind of with the guts of people that get their chemistry profiles, they get their blood counts done.
Yep. We'll follow you anywhere. This is truly amazing.
This row of instruments through here is a big chemistry analyzer. When you get a chemistry profile, you get your glucose tested, cholesterol, some of those chemicals that you talk about with your physician. These analyzers here are what's processing it. It's hard to see what's going on from the outside because it happens so much in the inside. But you can see little robotic arms moving around.
Yes, I see motion in there.
There's little wheels over there. Everything is computer driven. The instruments we have today are interfaced with our main information system. So this instrument, as soon as an order is put into our computer system, it knows to expect a sample sometime for a particular test for a particular patient. When that tube goes in, they recognize that this is the tube I'm looking for, usually through a barcode, just like at your grocery store, that you're barcoding all your products. We're barcoding our blood samples. And it knows what test to do for that sample. It goes through, you see the moving arm, it's pipetting the samples, it's going to get the proper reagent, it's going to process the test, and the results will come back on that computer. The tech will take a look, see if everything makes sense, that there aren't any errors generated by the equipment. If everything looks fine, they will accept it. It will go into the LIS and get uploaded through that system to reports to the physician, reports on the patient floors. Pretty much real time as far as the electronics go. So,
did you ever dream when you took your first class in college that technology would come this far by now?
you couldn't even imagine it.
It boggles my mind.
When I started, you drew a patient in the morning for a giant tube of blood for a chemistry profile, and about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon you had a piece of paper with a handwritten report that someone had to walk up to a floor and manually put in a chart. Today we get that blood, we test it in the morning rounds, it is out on the computer for that floor by 8 o'clock in the morning. That is
Isn't that incredible?
that is how the laboratory really has affected patient care, by getting those results as soon as after you have that blood drawn as you can. The physician can make a rapid decision. Does this patient need more medication? Do they need some other kind of treatment? Are they ready to go home? And so we can make those decisions much more quickly because of all this technology.
So it must be a tremendous learning curve for you too.
It is for everybody, but it's a group that, as scientists, that's kind of where our mental bent is. We would probably be bored if we were stagnated in the old systems.
You'll never be bored on this floor. You can't
No,
get me.
there's so much change going on here that boredom isn't the issue. Instruments, whether they were sophisticated like this or the older ones that were more manual, had a lot of operating parameters about them, if you will. None of them were simplistic, truly. So it's a matter of putting your mind onto new events, and everyone seems to love it when we get a new instrument and has something else to do, and we see the improvements. So
I
it's
could
been
just
good.
see people watching this program saying, "My, oh my, oh my!" They never dreamed that you would have such sophisticated equipment here. That's amazing, wonderful.
And the vendors that create these things, I've got them all over the world. So Plattsburgh isn't really unique that way. We try to keep up as close to the cutting edge as we can. But wherever people go in this country, they would see equipment similar to this.
But it changes all the time.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And we're looking at a big jump from the time you started school and the time when I started school, and I could never dream of a machine like this.
Absolutely.
But then when I started school, I couldn't dream that a computer would be invented someday.
Yeah.
So you see?
Yeah, it used to be a lot of manual pipetting. Throw in the
Sure.
reagents yourself, read the change in the color, or put it in a densitometer or a colorimeter or something of that nature. Now the machine does all of that integrated together and talks to the computer to tell people what the information
All of
is.
this is for the benefit of the patient or the
Absolutely.
consumer, if you will.
Absolutely. Patient, all of these things are such basic elements of how our bodies are made up and how they work, that physicians need to know, in order to know what's going on inside your body, what are these chemical levels. And so this is how we can help them deal with that.
All right, what else is there to see?
Well, let's take a walk down the track.
Okay. Such amazing sights and sounds.
This piece of equipment with all the tubes and valves and so forth is a blood counting analyzer. So when you have a CBC, which is a basic test that many people do to find out how your blood cells are doing, whether you've got enough, your white cells, if you've got enough, if you've got too many, it's going to take samples of blood, run it through here. It counts all of your cells.
Wow.
And so it's going to come out with a count. Computer driven, again, it's going to show you a distribution of the different kinds of cells. It gives you numbers and percentages of your cells. And it's the same process as far as, taking a look at that, making sure that there aren't any obvious errors, any issues that need to be verified, accepting them, getting them in the computer records. So again, a blood count is a pretty quick and easy process as far as getting those results through the system.
That's just fantastic, just wonderful.
So we'll go back around this way. We'll walk through a few other of the more special areas, and we'll end up in my home base, microbiology, and then I get to shine with things that are kind of my focus.
Okay.
So we'll head back out this way.
All right, we took a few steps and turned a corner, and now what do we see?
Well, we're in the special chemistry area here, and this is where all of the donor testing for all the units of blood that we talked about in the blood bank. In order to give a unit of blood to our patients, we have to test and verify that it is safe to do so. And although much of our blood is collected here in the North Country, and we feel we have a safe population, we can't guarantee that unless we test it. So piece of analyzers in through here are what we use to test samples from that blood for all of the infectious diseases that a person could possibly be carrying in their bloodstream. We don't want to give to a patient who is needing blood. So there's a lot of special testing that is done here throughout the day. Some of it is for the donor testing. The same tests are often done if a patient actually has a disease of an infectious nature like that, and we need to help the physician diagnose what's happening. You see a large hood type structure over there, and that allows people to work with samples in a more isolated manner. We're testing a lot of urine samples over in that area, and that's all part of the workflow where we're started out at the core in the high volume, rapid tests that most people are familiar with, working our way into the more esoteric special areas.
I want to know how much each person has to pay to get a seat by that beautiful window. Look out through the window.
The windows here are
Isn't that amazing?
gorgeous part of this lab. You know, most laboratories are put in basements.
Oh, of course they are.
And in fact, my first lab that I worked in was a brand new construction. It was in a basement. It wasn't the whole lab. It was actually just a portion of the lab. But I ended up and there were no windows. It was bright as all get out with fluorescent lights. But
Not the same.
It's not the same.
Not at all.
So when we had the opportunity to put this lab on the top floor, which construction-wise is a plus, because as you see, we have that hood there, and we have other hoods as we go along. They all have to be vented out to the ceiling. It is a much more efficient, financially feasible way to do it is put it right. If you're right near the ceiling, if you have to go through several floors to get your venting, it's very expensive, and it's very constricting for construction on the floors below to have to work around big vent structures. So a top floor for a laboratory is a very logical thing to do. And the benefit of having the windows and being here in the North Country in the fall with these colors,
boy.
it's just perfect.
Talk about win, 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 win.
Staff just loves this, and all of us just love it. It makes it so pleasant to work that even though you're in a high-powered, stress-filled environment, which medical care can be, it helps to be in an environment that physically has some pluses. It makes you, it's a positive thing for your psychology.
Is it difficult to find the talented and bright people you need to staff a lab like this?
Staffing can be a challenge. we've had in healthcare in all areas shortages. People hear about shortages in the nursing area. We've had severe shortages in the medical technology laboratory area as well. We've been fairly lucky here. People who are training in this area that come from the North Country like to stay in the North Country. So we have people that consider this home and want to stay and work here. Clinton Community College has had a long-standing MLT program, which now...
Thank goodness for that. Huh?
Well, right now it's in abeyance for a year or so. We're not
Really?
sure what's going to happen with it, but we're
come
hoping
on.
that they...
We'll get our licks in right here.
Yeah, we need that program because we've used so many of their
Oh, yeah.
graduates here to help staff our laboratory. So, you know, Plattsburgh State, Clinton Community, some of the other community colleges, we've gotten people who are working, and many of the people that come here stay here because it's such a nice community. So.
Well,
good.
you're very pleased in the field, so you know maybe we can inspire some of the young people to choose.
Well, when you have a good
Some of
lab
these fields.
like this, it's a plus to get people to
State
work
of the
here.
art. I love it. Okay, what's next?
So we're going to go over to microbiology.
What a fabulous space.
All of this corner, and we'll walk further into it in a second, is microbiology. And microbiology is where we culture samples looking for infections. And so, you know, urinary tract infections, throat cultures, people with strep throat, those are kind of our big volume things. We use the standard types of agar plates. Sure, some of the viewers will have seen these things in some of the other newscasts that they've seen for infectious disease kind of events that happen over time. We have our own hood, which is good for safety. You see some of the staff over here evaluating these plates. This work unit is a unique structural work unit that our architect designed for another laboratory. I think we're probably one of the few labs that has one just like this, and it's designed for microbiology for staff that have an assignment each day, or several staff members that have assignments, reading these plates and deciding what kind of bacteria a particular person and site might be growing. And so a person's going to get stacks of plates like this, and you'll see quite a few at this lady's desk that she's completing. And staff can be in this pinwheel area. They have their own quiet area to evaluate their tests. They can also consult with each other because cultures take several days often to complete as the bacteria grow. And it may be that what you're dealing with today, your colleague may be dealing with tomorrow, and consulting on where you're going with identification can be very helpful. Microbiology is both a science and an art to some extent, to understand what you're looking at, and is it normal, is it not normal. Not everything is as cut and dry as you might figure it could be. Coming up with new bacteria and new forms.
So many variables, and
Yep.
we're learning so much all the time
Yep.
as we further analyze what makes us tick, right?
Yep, yep. And so this area is less automated, but we do have automation here, identifying some of our bacteria, and automation back there with our blood cultures. We also have microscope work because bacteria are tiny and we can see their colony cultures growing on those plates, but we often want to see them right in the tissue that is being presented to us, and we look in the microscope, take a look at them.
I am so thrilled and delighted that you've invited us up here today to share a little bit of what is really a passion for you, I can tell.
We are all excited for having a new lab and being able to let the community know what we have, and that this is a good thing for us and it's for the community.
As I've said right from the beginning when I talked with Chris and others, it's not just a matter of having a great place to work and ply your trade, and that's wonderful, but you're helping humanity, our own little microcosm
Yeah.
here in the North Country, and you're what you do every day, what everybody here does every day counts.
That's absolutely true. We do not, in the laboratory, usually deal hands-on hands with patients. what we're dealing with is a representation of the patient, a sample from that patient. We consider them our patients, and we feel that the work we do with that is just as important as what the nursing is doing with their hands-on.
No question.
So we're proud about it, and we're glad to have the community see what goes on behind the scenes, and that we're working for their health.
It's a giant, wonderful, modern machine, and
Yeah.
this is a big cog
Yeah, well,
in the machine.
everyone in that machine is part of the caregiving system, and we all have a part to play. So that's the clinical lab part. We did mention that there was an anatomic pathology part.
Well, of course.
And we can go take a look at that.
Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Well, we didn't move far.
We didn't move far. It's the beauty of the open system, where instead of walking out of a door, down a hallway, into another door, you walk across a walk path and you're into another technical area. And this is the anatomic pathology department, or at least the beginnings of it. They're doing cytology and they're doing histology, and that means that they're looking at cells, mostly Pap smears primarily, but other types of fluids as well, to make sure that the cells in those samples are normal, not cancer. But if they are, we want to tell the physician about it right away so that they can do the clinical treatment things that are important to make that person healthy again. So this beginning part, there are people receiving specimens and processing them. This is an automated stainer, so they can take samples on slides, and the equipment will take those slides and provide the right types of stain on them, rinsing, counter stains, to come to a finished slide that a pathologist can read and evaluate for the types of cells in there.
But this all had to be done manually at one time.
That's right. People with either one by one with slides, or maybe a little slide holder dipping and moving with a clock to move it at the right time. Big time saver to have a machine move the samples through. A quality improvement. Every slide is treated the same. You don't need to worry about, did somebody lose track of time, get interrupted, maybe my slide didn't get stained exactly according to protocol. This machine treats every slide the same, so we get a much better level of quality, less variability with our stain completed slides.
I love it. Is this more the same or new stuff here?
It's more of the pathology area. This is more staining sections. It's also areas where tissue is examined by either a pathologist or a pathologist assistant. So if you have tissue removed as surgery, perhaps a piece of bowel or some other type of structure that is not doing your body any good, they can look at it and they're going to make a diagnosis as to what's wrong with that tissue. So they're going to look at that, describe it. The pathologist will issue a final report to your surgeon so that they are aware of what that tissue looked like in a scientific way, and then they can determine if you need additional treatment, if the treatment they provide you is adequate, complete. So all of that happens in these areas here.
You're the best allies up here, aren't you? Huh?
Well, I think we're a strong part of it. You know, there's a big team and everybody has a part to play. Tissues, in addition to being looked at visually, macroscopically in big chunks, we also want to look at them microscopically. So a number of these equipment here are going to fix the tissues, embed them with parafilm. They will be using microtomes. Where you guys got your microtomes sitting these days?
We get what?
Microtomes. So I don't know if you want to walk down there, but they're actually slicing machines that will slice the tissue that's been fixed and in a waxy film into very, very, very thin slices, so that those slices are then put on a slide, and then they're stained also. And now the pathologist can take a look at those slides and he knows what kind of cells you should see in a bowel, in a liver, in a lung tissue, and he will look and say, yes, that looks like normal tissue. This part over here looks like it's inflammatory, there's an infection. This part over here maybe has a cancer problem going on. So all of those things, pathologist who is a medical doctor, laboratory is always headed by a medical doctor, so we're not just college-trained people doing things. We have a medical doctor who authorizes all the work and reviews what's happening and takes a look at these tissues to make diagnoses that go back to your physician.
I'm so impressed. I'm blown away by all of this, and it makes me secure in knowing that this facility is here and how fast it's growing, and just so great for this area to have something like this in place.
I think we can all be proud of this. We get inspected by accrediting agencies, actually 2 different ones, and shortly after we moved here, New York State Department of Health was in. They looked at all of our processes, and we passed very handily. They loved our facility.
How could they not?
I think we've got probably one of the nicer new labs in the state, if not the country at this point. We're proud.
Let's say the country.
We're proud.
Let's say the universe.
We think we did a fabulous job
I do
designing
too.
this.
It's just terrific, and all the people who work here obviously are happy campers.
Yeah, we are very pleased with how this turned out. I think it's a good thing for the hospital. It's a good thing for us as workers. It's a good thing for our patients.
I never knew this morning, but I was this much when I came here today. I'm delighted to be a part of it all, Ruth, and I really appreciate you taking time with us.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're glad to be able to show off our new home, as it were.
I love it. Good luck in everything you do, Ruth.
Thank you.
Ruth Gash.
Although she hasn't done anything.
We're in the pharmacy. Allison Huff, how are you?
Wonderful.
You are a reluctant participant in this program today, but your smile is so genuine. It belies the fact that you'd rather be anywhere but in front of this camera. We love it here. Tell us about what happens on this floor.
Well, we are actually in our new state-of-the-art IV room, and this is where we make our sterile products. And for all the lay people in the area, basically these are all the IV products that are going directly through the veins. So we want to make them as clean as possible. Any kind of contamination, bacteria or anything can obviously cause infection or harm. So the air in here, or actually in the hoods that you see Shelley working at, is 99.94% pure. It's HEPA filtration. It's considered an ISO class 5 environment in the hood, where the room in itself, if you see, and you can probably pan up in the ceilings, are also some HEPA filtration in the air. So that
I
is
see, yeah.
basically another clean area. So the whole room is clean. We wipe everything down. It gets more or less cleaned like an OR room every day. And all our products are made there. Currently she's making some kind of I don't know, it looks like an antibiotic. I can't quite see, or maybe it's phenylephrine, but that doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Not to you guys. We also make TPNs in there, total parenteral nutrition. If you see in the far hood, there is, looks like a machine with a bunch of bags hanging.
Well, way down at the other end, yes.
Yes, and that's basically for, again, total parenteral nutrition. So people who can't eat and they have to get the absolute basic nutrition broken down as electrolytes, amino acids, and basically basic sugars. So basically in here, all we do is do that. It comes through the pass-through, which is double-sided. There's actually a plexiglass on the other side, and we never open both doors at
I
once.
see, and that makes perfect sense.
Yes. So that's really kind of what we do in here. Lots of procedures and whatnots to keep everything, clean.
Allison, are you from this area?
Yes.
Where'd you go to school?
Sable Valley. I was a graduate of Sable Valley back in 1990.
That was only day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And then what?
I went to Albany College of Pharmacy straight out of high school. Then lived in the Albany area for quite some time, and then ended up coming back here.
They always come back.
I know.
They don't come back. They wish they'd come back.
Yeah, I never thought I would, but as you're away, it looks sweeter and sweeter back home. So.
Especially this time of year, we're looking out the windows from upstairs in the lab, and oh my goodness, what views up there! Just spectacular.
Well, we're very happy that we actually have windows. We've never had a pharmacy with any kind of view.
Isn't it neat? I worked in many offices where you couldn't see out. I worked in one place that just had a big cement post right next to my desk. So we put pretty pictures on the post, and that was it. So what else happens in the pharmacy?
Well, outside of this department, I don't know if we want to move that way.
Yeah,
but
let's move around and start again, okay?
Okay.
All right, we've stepped outside that door.
Basically, out here, our pharmacy department, we also have to send up medications via, like, oral medications and also IV medications that the nurses will give up on the floors. The oral medications, most of them are in what they call an automated Pyxis machine. So it's all profile driven, and our pharmacists basically evaluate any kind of physician's order that comes down to our pharmacy. We make sure that everything is the right patient, right route, right strength, and appropriate for the patient. So patient safety, number one, before it gets delivered to the floor or into the Pyxis station where a nurse can actually access the medication.
I was looking at the color coding here. Does that have any great value?
No, I don't know. It might be for these. This is again a pediatric code card. It's an extra one, but maybe the colors might help the doctors if they know that blue is for respiratory or something.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
It
I was just
for a
wondering.
quick-
Those things
for-
fascinate me. We saw color coding in some other areas of the hospital. So in the emergency, in the ER, yeah.
It probably has to do with that. I'm sure there's some kind of a chart that shows which one, and if you're trained to actually be at a code, you'll know exactly what to do.
So what else is in here that we haven't seen, Allison?
Well, I might stay away from showing you the controlled substances. I don't think that needs to be on camera
Okay.
these days. But basically, we do house controlled substances in a safe that we won't show you.
Yeah.
And it won't go anywhere.
Sure.
But really, we are just a big distribution center, but everything is profiled from a patient's safety standpoint, where the pharmacist has to evaluate any kind of medication that goes out before it gets to the patient.
So how many people work there?
We have
Just
I
a
don't know.
guess.
35.
Do you really?
Yeah. On a daily, there's a lot of part-time and per diems, but on a daily basis, we have 6 pharmacists during the day shift. Some are housed in the Fitzpatrick Cancer Center and the ICU, and others, of course, on different shifts. We have 4 on the evening shift and 1 on the night shift. So
That's terrific.
24 hours.
And you didn't think she could do it.
Oh,
What a wonderful job. Now you can take a big, deep breath, go in the other room and say, I'm out of here. Is it time for me to leave? And still do it? You wish, huh?
I wish. I'm here for a while.
Allison, thanks so much for showing us around.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Oh, I will.
We're going back to that beautiful new medical arts building, but we decided to take a little detour. Where have you brought us, Michael?
Well, right now we're on 3 Main, which is the Alice T. Minor Center for Women and Children, or obstetrics, or maternity. And recently, I believe in early October, we implemented a change to actually enhance the security. It used to be that you could take the elevator up to the 3rd floor and just open the door and be here. And now we have a system where you actually have to call in and give the name of the person that you are coming to visit, and they'll let you in.
You know, it's amazing, because I was coming on the elevator. There was a very nervous young man whose wife was either about to deliver or had just delivered, and he said to somebody in the elevator, "Where's maternity?"
Oh my.
And she said, "You just go in there, get out the elevator, but don't try to get in the door. Pick up the phone, and
That's right.
they'll let you in." So you see,
It's a very simple process. It's a very positive process, frankly. It's just something, it adds a little additional element of security. And, maternity is probably the only place that people really like to go to in the hospital. And so we do actually get
I've been
people-
here lots
There
of
you go,
times.
there you go. Well, but people will actually come to the hospital. They'll be here to see someone else, maybe on R5, and then they'll say, let's go look at the babies.
yeah.
And they really shouldn't be there.
Isn't it truly amazing? But security's taken on a whole new meaning in the world we live in.
Oh, no question. I mean, it's the right thing to do, and since it's been implemented, we have had very, very few problems. And again, the only thing we do require is that you be able to give us a name of somebody that you're actually
Gosh, I
going
hope
to
you know
see.
somebody in here.
Well, there you go. You want me to try it?
I want you to try it.
Okay, we'll pick a name at random.
Okay.
Hi, this is Mike Hildebrand. I'm here to see Lisa Papp. Thank you.
Boy, you dropped that name, and that doors are probably open on their own. See that?
It worked.
Oh, I love it. You did very well, Michael. I'm proud of you.
Okay.
We got in through the door. I feel so good. Lisa Papp, how are you?
Good, good.
I haven't seen you since we opened the place. And when was that anyway? I
Oh,
forgot.
gosh, you would put me on the spot. I think
can't
it's been
remember.
about,
80?
1989?
99.
99. Oh, 89.
That's 8 years ago.
I'm giving away my age.
Oh, my goodness. So this is
Okay.
the Center for Women and Children, and we've come up here for a very special reason today to talk about this whole new security thing. So we made it through the door. What
Yes.
would be the next step?
Well, it depends on where you're going. If you're coming through the door and you're coming in to go to labor and delivery, you would just go right up to labor and delivery. But if you're coming in to visit a patient on the floor and this is your first time coming, you're going to have to stop at the desk and find out what room they're in. And there's always somebody at the nurse's station. If you walk around this
Well,
way,
sure.
you'd be coming in.
We'll follow you.
You'd be coming in this way,
Okay.
and Melanie here will. She'll say, "May I
We
help
made her
you?"
smile several
Okay,
times
Melanie,
since we've
can you
been
say
here
that?
today.
And so Melanie would ask if, or whoever is here, there's always someone at the desk, would ask, you tell which patient you want to see, and she would tell you which room. Now, most of the OB patients are in one area, and some of the surgical patients, because we also have women's surgical on this floor.
Oh, yeah, that's right, too.
Yeah, and so they're in a different area. So the first time you come, you probably would have to ask. Otherwise, you're already checked through the door, and you can just go right down and visit.
Things are a lot different than when you started here.
Well, yes, I would guess so. When I started here, the fathers weren't allowed in the delivery room.
Think about that.
And when the
I
mother
had a lot
to
of
be,
babies born when I was on the outside looking in.
when the mother had to be examined by the physician or the nurse, we would ask the father if he could step outside.
Yeah.
And really, that wasn't that long ago when you think about
No,
it.
no.
And now
I'm old, but not that old.
now I wouldn't even dream of asking a father to step outside.
Isn't that amazing?
And I think that, if you did, they would be offended.
Yeah. Oh,
Because you're such an
As I've
integral
said
part.
about 15 times since we started with Michael today, that the times they are changing, and it's great to see this facility grow into
Right.
state of the art all the way around.
Yes, it's
This
wonderful.
is a great floor for many reasons. I love it here.
Yeah.
Been here to watch see many babies.
Yes, it gets a little frightening when you start seeing the babies of the babies that you delivered or helped deliver or took care of in the nursery. But what is very nice is we're very much a community hospital, because I can be walking in the parking lot at Walmart and a mother will flag me down, yelling, "Hey, Lisa," and they'll come over and introduce their child and say, "Do you remember this preemie?" And they'll tell me, and it was 13 years ago. And the kid is acting embarrassed, and she is mom.
But is it? That's the best
But
part.
it's nice.
best part
It's
of it.
wonderful, yes.
And it's important for me to get to know this place because sometime on or about May 11th, 2008, my 21st and 22nd great-grandchild will be born on this floor.
This is pretty impressive.
Lord willing, and the creek doesn't
Congratulations.
rise. They just keep doing it. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
We love the babies. Love the babies, and I know you do too.
Yes, and you must have quite a few children if you're
Well,
up to
you
that
know,
many.
we had the
Yeah,
Kay and
more
I
than one.
had 13, and then raised a couple of grandchildren, and so it's 20
So
grandchildren.
you
and
really
20
love
grands.
children.
Really, really love the kids.
It's wonderful.
It's
yeah.
great. So that's the extent of the security thing here.
Yeah, it's very simple and it's very quick. I haven't heard any complaints whatsoever from any of the parents. I think that in this day and age, parents are reassured the more security you have. But, saying that, the first line of security will be the parents, because they're the ones that are with the baby in the room, and they're really watching, making sure everybody has a little stork on their badge, making sure that they don't hand the baby over to somebody that's not wearing a badge that has a stork on it. So they're the primary keepers of that baby.
Well, I'm glad the process was relatively smooth and
Yes,
painless. And
yeah.
I told Michael I was
It's
coming in
very
on the
simple.
elevator, and there was a nervous young man who obviously his wife or girlfriend was about to
Right.
deliver, and he said, how do I get in? And whoever was on the elevator said, make sure you don't just burst through the door.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a very simple process, and it really has gone very, very smoothly.
I love it. Lisa, thanks so much
You're
for
very
letting us
welcome.
interrupt your busy day for a
No
moment.
problem.
Keep
It's a
smiling.
pleasure.
See you later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Oh, we moved again through hallways, down elevators, across campus, and we're now at the Minor Medical Arts, the new Minor Medical Arts building. And we couldn't pass this picture. Michael, provision storeroom. There are a lot of historic photographs here. Many of them have been viewed on Hometown Cable on this program before, because they come from some of the olden publications from the 1920s and early 30s. We've even seen video from back in those days, old 16 millimeter film that was just beautiful when we had the rodeo doctors, retired old doctors, eat out together for one of our programs. Look at this, provision storeroom with the wooden barrels. Is that the coolest thing, or what?
That's actually up on the second floor now. We've advanced to that. No, that is that is one. I'm not sure. I don't think I had ever seen that particular
I've never seen
one.
it, I promise you before. It looks like an old-fashioned grocery store in the corner, like we used to have with the pickles and the crackers and the.
My guess is that Gordy, that actually probably, as the crow flies, was not very far removed from where we are.
Yeah, I think
because
you may be right.
they had the storeroom over on this side of campus, and they had some, I believe, at the ground floor level. But I think they actually even had some provisions at more of a basement level that we went into with
Yes, we
the
did
show we did
before.
with Hal Miro. And that wouldn't shock me if that was actually at the basement level.
Isn't that? It's just great. And people, the public can come in this
Oh, absolutely.
part of the medical
Yes.
center.
Yes.
So they can view this here. This is on the ground floor of the new medical arts building.
We were very happy. One of the things that we did, we wanted to maintain as much of the minor presence as possible. And so we actually worked with Sean Heffernan
Oh, sure.
and his wife Amanda.
They're great, aren't they?
They are absolutely
Just the
wonderful.
best.
And I think we're going to walk around the corner here in just a few minutes and look at something that they actually put together specially for us. But Sean and Amanda did all of this. And, again, it harkens back to more than 80 years ago when Physicians Hospital first came here on Beekman Street. And of course, at that time, it was 100 Beekman Street. And then when we went to the 911 address changes, we're now actually 75 Beekman Street, which worked out well a few years ago when we did 75 years at 75
Of course it
Beekman
did.
Street. Yeah,
There was
that
a
was
plan.
that was the only advantage to actually changing the address. But no, there are a lot of fascinating pictures, and it was a totally different world then. I mean, today our world is made up of technology and computers and and just all kinds of
As
amazing
our viewers can
things.
see, just based on our tours today, so far removed from the days when it was all hands-on stuff. You didn't have a machine to do the work.
We're not getting our supplies in barrels
No,
today.
we're not. Thank goodness for that. I love it. Sure. Look at the laundry, Calvin. Take a look at the laundry. Is that neat? Oh, my goodness.
It truly was a different world.
Yeah. That was the best stuff you could buy back in those days.
Oh,
Yeah, well, a lot of people were still washing their clothes out back by hand on a washboard when these kinds of washing machines and drying machines were invented.
it makes you wonder if they referred to it at that time as being state of the art. But I'm sure that it was, in fact, state of the art at the time.
William H. Minor would have insisted.
He would
Yes,
have insisted. Yeah.
that's true.
I was telling somebody the other day, because this place, I'm so proud of it. I mean, you know, we feel as though we're part of it. We've done so many shows here with you and others. So I was talking about our tour with Hal and other times we've toured, and the old operating rooms, the theaters upstairs that you
yes.
can see a little bit of, and their eyes just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then we started talking about the old Shazy Central Rural School. Well, that was built by Mr. Minor with the swimming pools, right? They had a swimming pool in there. Two swimming pools.
One for
So,
each. One boy, one girl.
Isn't that amazing? All right,
Yeah.
let's walk on. Well, we had to stop at the lobby because this is a beautiful presentation. Is this what you were talking about, the Heffernan's made for you?
Yeah, Sean and Amanda Heffernan were responsible for this, and we were just so pleased. It talks about, again, back in the early and mid-20s, everything that went into developing Physicians Hospital. And when Physicians Hospital was constructed, and they admitted the first patient on January 1 of 1926, this facility in Plattsburgh, New York, was just top-notch, the finest that you could find. He spared no expense. I mean, we were far ahead of the curve when it came to hospital facilities.
You know, we were just talking before we started the camera, Calvin and Mike and myself, what might have happened had Minor lived another 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
See, my contention is, given the vision that he had and the commitment to excellence and quality, I wouldn't have been surprised had Mr. Minor not turned this facility into a Mayo Clinic kind of caliber program.
I can easily see that. I never thought of that until you just mentioned it, but that's very plausible.
I mean, when he died in 1930, I think the vision at that time was lost, and the Minor Foundation has done marvelous things here, but my sense is that it was more of a maintenance kind of a situation after that, whereas Mr. Minor was obviously a brilliant man with incredibly high standards. And, you know, who knows? But we were actually hosting, way back then, right here in Plattsburgh, international medical conferences because this was such a high-quality facility.
A lot of the information and the photographs that come from that very book we mentioned from 1929, the Physicians Hospital book. I don't know how many copies are left, but boy, would I love to own one. I don't know how many are in existence. I've seen a few.
Yeah, there are a few around here. I mean, I think even the quality of that book speaks so much about what kind of operation he was running at the time. And it is amazing, and this is something that we base our heritage on.
Oh, sure.
And we certainly work hard today to try to strive to live up to that, and we believe that Mr. Minor would be extremely proud if he saw what we were doing here.
And the full and technical name of this building is the William H. Minor Medical Arts Building, hereafter to be known between you and me and maybe others as the Minor Building.
The Minor Building, or the Minor MAB, or the Minor Medical Arts Building, yes.
I love it. All right, let's go upstairs.
Looking at the
Just make believe we're upstairs, you know. Actually, we were going to do one more interview and that person was busy, so we decided to come outside on a beautiful day, 18th day of October 2007, when the weather is fabulous. It's no more than Mike and I deserve. I don't know about
That's a good
Cal,
point. That's a very
but
good
we
point.
wanted to give people who are viewing this a little perspective, because people have been entering the hospital grounds many different ways these days with all the construction out front. But this is the Minor Medical Arts Building.
It is closest to our Cornelia Street entrance when you're coming in. The best way to access it is actually to pull in for the medical office building parking lots. You're right there, and again, people seem to love it, and certainly I know that the staff that's in there love it. We will have a number of physicians' offices that will be located in there. Our general surgery group will be moving in. Our heart surgeons will be moving in late November, early December. There is also a little bit of space that will be available beyond that on the second floor, and quite a bit of space on the first floor. So it's going to be it's going to work out very well for people, and I think people will be very happy.
Well, guess what? We've been proud to chronicle a lot of this growth over the last 10 years or so, since Calvin has asked me to carry this microphone around with him, and it's been a pleasure working with you through all these years, Michael. You're a great spokesman for the hospital.
Well, thank you very much, Gordy.
We've enjoyed this day thoroughly, and we will be back maybe around Thanksgiving time.
Well, I think that we should be in our outpatient cardiology on the second floor. And what we can do at that time is not only show that off, but possibly interest you in doing a little bit more about the Champlain Valley Heart Center at CVPH. It's working exceedingly well. We've got great outcomes, and we said it was going to be a wonderful program, and we were right.
And here it is, and it's getting better every day. Thanks to you, Michael. Thanks to all our viewers who watch this program and support us in any way you possibly can. And with, like I said before, Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise, he'll be pushing those off-on buttons on that camera for a long time to come. So we'll see you later. Have a great fall and winter season.
Thank you, Gordy.
Thank you, and who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.